Were I a future poet, thinking about where I would like to be born, then I would quite favor the city of Würzburg on the Main River. This beautiful city certainly gives the impression of having something valuable to share with any writer born here. It is with these words of Hermann Hesse that we begin our excursion through Würzburg. Let's get things going by taking a quick look at the city's history. There was a fortified Celtic refuge atop the Marienberg as far back as 1000 BC. Since not much remains from this period, we can begin our historic overview at a somewhat later date in time. Würzburg was Christianized by the Irish missionaries Kilian, Colonat, and Totnan at the end of the 7th century. As the legend goes, these three were slain and buried in a horse's stable in 689 at the behest of the duke's wife Gailana. Thus Würzburg had produced its own martyrs at a time when Christianity was still in its infancy in Central Europe. Their graves would soon become a popular place of pilgrimage. The many pilgrims were a major economic benefit to the town with all the money they brought into it. This was just one reason why the bishop gained in power and influence. Since at least the middle of the 12th century, the bishop was not merely the spiritual leader, but also the worldly ruler, as his title Prince-Bishop clearly shows. Even the medieval city wall, built in the shape of a bishop's mitre with the cathedral at its center, clearly tells you who was in charge in the city. The people of Würzburg were not always happy being under the rule of the prince-bishops. Over the centuries, they revolted many times and attempted to seize control of the city. Through it all, the prince-bishops kept the upper hand as territorial lords until secularization in 1803. Relations between the townspeople and the bishop became so strained during the Middle Ages that from the mid-13th century the bishop had to withdraw to the overlooking fortress. Only during the Baroque period did the bishops move their quarters back to the city. It was under the regents from the House of Schönborn that Balthasar Neumann erected the residence from 1720 to 1744. The prince-bishops were not to reside there long, however. When Würzburg became part of the Kingdom of Bavaria following secularization, the former prince-bishop's palace became just another seat of the Wittelsbach dynasty. Today, the residence, like the fortress, belongs to the state of Bavaria. What stands out about Würzburg is that many buildings are from the 1950s and 1960s amid the historic old structures. The Würzburg we once knew with its countless Baroque buildings perished in the flames of March 16, 1945. The British Bomber Group No. 5, the same unit that shortly before had reduced Dresden to rubble, almost completely destroyed Würzburg in a raid that took a mere 17 minutes. The American forces that later occupied Würzburg initially wanted to preserve the destroyed city as a monument to the horrors of war, a sort of graveyard on the Main. The people of Würzburg later rebuilt the city with what few resources were available in post-war Germany. Since then, the city has been the host to a number of U.S. Army units. Today, Würzburg has a population of almost 130,000, and the 20,000 students enrolled in Würzburg's colleges significantly shape the life of the city. Our tour around the city will start with a visit to the fortress, which for centuries was the seat of the prince-bishops. After we visit the Würzburg residence, our journey will then take us to the cathedral and Neumünster church. Awaiting us at the market square are the Falkenhaus, or the Falkenhaus, and Mary's Chapel. No visit to Würzburg would be complete without seeing the Kapelle, one of Balthasar Neumann's late works. The old Main Bridge and the Grafeneckardt, which today serves as City Hall. We will also stop by the old university and learn about its history, see the law school, and meet some of its professors. What would a stop in Würzburg be without a glass of Franconian wine? You'll have to bring your own glass and wine, but we'll make sure our trip takes you to Würzburg's 3 traditional wineries, the Bürgerspital, Juliusspital, and the Staatlicher Hofkeller. A judicious look at the famous Boxbeutel bottle is of course an absolute must. We hope you enjoy this short excursion through Würzburg.